Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the Vale of Glamorgan Cabinet meeting taking place today on the 11th of May 2023. I'm Councillor Bronwyn Brooks, I'm Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Sustainable Places, and I'm chairing the meeting today on behalf of the Leader of the Vale of Glamorgan Council and Cabinet Member for Performance and Resources, Councillor Liz Burnett. Liz is actually presenting or giving a presentation to Senedd Committee down at Welsh Government today. So some housekeeping is, may I remind everyone present that the meeting is being live streamed as well as recorded via the internet, and this recording will be archived for future viewing. Could all participants please mute themselves when not speaking, and then this will help avoid any background noise or feedback when other participants are speaking. If a participant does wish to speak, can they please raise their hand if they can be seen on screen, or use the raise hand function. And then please ensure that all debate is raised verbally and not via the chat function for the sake of the recording. The chat function may be used to highlight any technical issues and or to grab the attention either of the chair, myself or Democratic Services Officer. If any participant has difficulty hearing or being heard when they're addressing the committee, then they should either let myself or the Democratic Officer know. And if they have a webcam, then please try to turn that off, as this will help with broadband or Wi-Fi bandwidth. So at least then you can hear and be heard. So I'm going to go straight into item number 1 of the agenda. So the first one is apologies for absence. And the only apology I have today is obviously for Councillor Liz Burnett, and as already mentioned, she's given a presentation to a Senedd committee, so can't be here today. So moving on to item number 2, which are the minutes of the meeting held on the 27th of April 2023. Are we happy? So I'll move those minutes. Are we happy to agree them? And if somebody could just formally second for the record as well.
Second.
Lovely, thank you. Moving on to item number 3, and then this is to receive declarations of interest and then the nature of that interest under the Council's Code of Conduct, and the reasons for declaring that interest. So do we have any? None? Lovely. So I mean, this time we've actually got a very short agenda with just one item on it, which is very rare for us, but that's just the way it's worked out in the cycle report at the moment. So I'm going to hand over to Ruba as a Cabinet Member for Community Engagement, Equalities and Regulatory Services, and this is about the member briefing session feedback for the LDP supplementary planning guidance. So I'd like to hand over to you, Ruba.
Thank you, Chair. So as you've outlined, this is simply a report back on a member briefing session that we held a few weeks back, and this is just a summary of that, and you'll find a summary of the discussion at Appendix 1. So this is the member consultation on or briefing on the Vale of Glamorgan Local Development Plan supplementary guidance on retail and town centre development and economic development on employment land and premises. So this is the feedback. You may think this is you've had a bit of deja vu, Chair, on this report, because if you recall, last September, I brought the draft supplementary planning guidance on the retail and town centre development, and the report recommended that all members, including the planning committee members, be invited to attend a member briefing session to advise them of the forthcoming consultation and content on the draft SPG. So that's what happened following the six-week public consultation. There was a slight omission that members hadn't been consulted, so that took place in following the cabinet report. So just slightly later. So in the summary of responses, Chair, there was some discussion around issues raised around parking provision on new employment sites, and that was resolved that these matters were addressed in the Council's SPG on parking standards, which will be read in conjunction with this supplementary guidance. Other matters also raised for consideration included the South Wales Metro, public transport and working from home and placemaking. And Chair, you in particular will appreciate that some of the issues that we did discuss at the membership briefing were perhaps issues that will be raised again in our placemaking sessions and when we're looking at the placemaking plans for all of our high streets. So some of those issues were not necessarily pertinent to this SPG, but will be relevant later. So for the retail and town centre development SPG, members wanted reasons for the position of certain centres within the retail hierarchy, and there was discussion around acceptable uses within town centres and what could be done to retain core businesses, which includes banks and clothes retailers. So the report highlights that the SPG strikes, we think, an appropriate balance between providing some flexibility for appropriate new uses, but still retaining the retail function. And as I say, many of these concerns will of course be considered in our placemaking plans and consultation as we move forward. So following the member consultation briefing, there were no further amendments to the actual report. And so, Chair, this will be very short. I'm moving to my recommendations. So the first recommendation is that Cabinet notes the contents of the report and considers the feedback at Appendix 1 made as part of the member briefing session, and endorses that no further amendments should be made to the supplementary planning guidance documents as approved on the 27th of February this year at the Cabinet meeting. That secondly, this report is referred to the Environment and Regeneration Scrutiny Committee for its consideration. Should the Scrutiny Committee resolve to accept recommendation 1, that no further amendments should be made to the approved SPGs, the documents will be used with immediate effect as part of the development management process. And the third recommendation, Chair, I'd like to make a slight alteration for that. I want to make an amendment on the basis that I'd like the SPGs to this report to go to all members and not just planning committee members, because obviously the SPGs are a critical part of our consideration when we're making decisions around any future planning decisions. So if I can make an amendment so that it reads number 3, the third recommendation, to ensure that all members are apprised of the adoption of the SPGs as material considerations in determination of future planning applications. I so move, Chair.
Thank you for that, Ruba. I'll formally second that. Mark, did you want to come in?
Yes, I do. I just think it's the amendment is an excellent suggestion, Councillor, because really I think not just planning committee members need to be aware of the SPG, but all members need to be aware of the importance of it when making decisions. And I think it's vital that all members really understand the planning process, because in that way we reduce the number of appeals that could be sustainable if people understand what they're going through. So I happily second this recommendation, in fact all the recommendations. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Mark, and thank you, Ruba, for that, for bringing that item to us. And as you say, it has been with us before, so I think we've got plenty of knowledge around that, but actually vital knowledge that that we've done through. So that's lovely, thank you. So moving on to item number 5, and I don't have any items which are urgent under part 1. And then moving into item 6, then I also don't have any items which are urgent under part 2. So as we said at the outset of the meeting, this is a very brief meeting today, as I said, which is unusual for us, but thank you all for your attendance today, and I'll see you at the next meeting in a couple of weeks. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.